Kuya Shin, anong mga magandang champion sa meta ngayon? Yo, what's up? Shibu with the one for and I, and in this video pag-uusapan natin yung aking recently released na champion tier list para sa patch 2.0a. Yes, full wild trip ulit Medyo weirdo, parang pang-horror yung setup natin ngayon. Pero actually I'm recording this outside my home, sa may balcony namin. Kasi wala lang. Trip ko lang. Anyway, pag-usapan na natin ngayon yung ating champion tier list. So, mapapasin nyo yung nirelease kong champion tier list kahapon lang is divided across 5 classes, namely the C class, B class, A class, S class, and the S plus class, with S plus being the highest, C being the lowest. And it's a very simple champion tier list, maybe because gusto ko rin na simple at madali maintindihan kapag nagbigay ako ng champion tier list para sa inyo, Kumbaga, paka-release ka agad, kuha nyo kaagad kung sinong malakas sa hindi. I've also divided them across their specific roles, indicated mainly ng lanes nila, being the Baron laner, jungler, mid laner, Dragon laner or ADC, tapos ayun, the support position. So pag-usapan na natin yung tier list natin, una muna, ang gusto kong banggitin is of what this S plus, S and A and B and C class mean, Para madaling maintindihan, it is indicated or defined like this, S plus being champions na kapag pinili mo, ang taas ng impact na makatulong sa'yo manalo talaga. Kumbaga, these are the champions na pag pinili mo, you can, because they are so strong, you can rely on winning your game with them. Even with little, to no familiarity, I mean, I've tested it Then, the S-class champions would be what I would say meta champions, They're the champions na pasok sa meta talaga and even on the competitive, mainly because of their reliability. Some of them are actually included here for specific cases, special cases. Whereas the A-class champion, yun yung mga picks na hindi masama kunin. Ayan, hindi masama kunin. Kumbaga, meta rin sila, pero hindi kasi lakas ng mga nasa S-class na champions. They're reliable as well, And finally, the B-class champions are the ones na kailangan pa ng konting tulong, konting buff. Pwede naman sila laruin sa ganung klaseng role. Pero without doubt, I can say na mahina sila compared to, ibang champions on the higher classes. And finally, we have the C class, which I think is kind of a unique push para sa mga champions. Minsan magtataka bakit nilalaro yun sa ganong klaseng role, but for some reason, they're doing so. Some pans out, pero overall, ang hirap talaga. And if they want to stick into that class, or if they want to stick onto that lane or role, they need more buff talaga, At least get into the A class. Yan. So, let's go. Una muna would be of the solo lane or the Baron lane, The Baron lane is mainly dominated ngayon by one of the strongest champions in the current meta, which is si Kennen, Kennen being on the S plus class. Kasunod ni Kennen dito would be of the Malphite, Akali, and Camille. All three are champions capable of actually dueling up with Ken. And siguro ang pinakahirap lang dito sa tatlo might be of the Akali. But Akali in itself is also a very strong champion. Si Malphite tsaka si Camille, kaya lang sila siguro din kasama dito sa S-class sa S-class pick is that Camille is very safe in the Baron lane. Pero si Malphite, along with Camille nga, they're both inherent counters din patungo sa Kennen. Kennen is a very strong champ right now. And if you want to at least get the jump on him in the lane, try to be aggressive against him. Don't allow him to cut or even dominate your lane. Because if he gets into the mid game and land a very successful ultimate, yeah, Kennen, lakas, S+. Now, we also have the A-class, mula dito sa Baron lane natin, being the Darius, Mundo, Fiora, Gragas, Olaf, and Garen. I was thinking kung pwede na sa S-class dito si Gragas, pero I think Gragas drop, mula doon sa nerf ng patch 2.0a. Actually, doon sa patch 2.0a, kung ano yung mga nerfs that emphasizes on lanes or wave clearing, talagang drum up, yung playability ng ganung champion. This includes Evelynn as well for the mid lane. So far okay pa naman ang Gragas. Malakas pa rin ang Gragas, pero not so stellar compared to the ones on the S class. And finally, we have the B class here on the Graves, the Jarvan, the Jax, Nasus. We have Singe, Teemo, and Tryndamere and Yasuo, Actually thinking that any of these champions, especially the Yasuo and even the Jax or probably a Jarvan, may get into the A class as well. Pero for now, medyo mahirap sila i-pull off. Graves is actually good back then, pero because of the running meta of, responding first sa Wild Rift, especially for the mid game transition from laning phase to mid game. Mukhang mas okay na yung solo laner nyo ay nasa front line on my heavy engage compared to a backline na duelist na katulad ni Graves, no? Ironic backline duelist. Pero finally we have the Zed being on the C class. Actually may nakalimutan ako dito. Mainly because siguro hindi ko na siya nakikita on the Emerald tier pataas, and that would be of the Vayne top lane, no? Medyo may pagka-cheesy pa rin talaga yung Vayne top lane. It is being pulled off on lower ranks, especially I think on silver and gold. Pero sa ngayon, even if there is a Vayne top lane, I would put her on the C+. Mahirap pa rin i-pull off, quite very risky, along with the Zed, no? Kaya ba't feel na ang dami nating nakikitang Zed sa solo lane, pero feeling ko ito yung parang gusto lang mag-mid na Zed, pero hindi nakuha yung mid lane, kaya nag-solo lane na lang or nag-baron lane. Finally, we have the jungle. Now, among all the S plus class na nilagay ko dito sa ating champion tier list, dito ako pinaka-iffy, si Wukong. I would agree, some of you thinks that Wukong is not anymore as strong, especially nung naramdaman nyo yung kanyang early game clear. But the thing here is that, to those who are willing to endure the early game of the Wukong, yung stand pa rin ni Wukong pagdating sa mga clashes that mattered, especially from the laning phase to the mid game phase, especially for the dragon fights, andun pa rin. Andun pa rin yung kanyang ultimate. He can actually fight two parts of a team fight, nang sabay, especially with the Cyclone, no, na dalawang beses nakakas at kasama pa yung mismong illusion niya. That's why I think even in competitive, nakikita pa rin natin si Wukong na pinipili dito. And even on the higher ranks, pag pinanood nyo yung ibang mga challenger streamers or road to challenger streamers natin, makakita ka pa rin ng Wukong that goes along with the Lee Sin and also the Vi. Lee Sin and Vi has been just really meta on the jungle, on the idea of picking off and making plays of their own. Whereas, I think ito yung pinaka-stable, no, na lane or role, which is the A-class na jungle. Kasi talagang parang anything would go, no? Nakadepende na lang talaga sa player skill ng jungler ninyo kahit ano pang champion ang piliin na to. And each champion has their inherent strengths. So we have the Camille, we have the Amumu, Evelynn, Graves, Jarvan, Olaf, and also Shyvana. I think Shyvana can still go into the S-class, especially nung play rate niya pagdating sa mga higher tiers. But Evelynn, I'm curious. So far, okay pa rin si Evelynn, mainly because kawalan ng pink ward sa Wild Rift. My question now lies if magtutuloy-tuloy ba yung pagbaba ni Evelynn and she will go down onto the B class. So far, parang hindi naman. Now, you have the Jax, you also have the Master Yi, Tryndamere, and Xin Zhao para sa B class ng jungler. Nothing on the C pagdating sa jungle unless you pick up a very weak jungle champion. Alam mo naman yan kapag parang troll yung jungler ninyo. Next one would be on the mid lane. S-class would still be of Kennen. I would easily put sana si Akali dito. And maybe the old Aurelion Sol and the S-plus pala. S-plus, no? Pero Kennen, even if you put him in the mid lane, although hindi talaga siya pang mid lane, I would advise on putting him in the Baron lane. Kahit sa mid lane mo ilagay yung Kennen, the idea still of Kennen scaling into the mid game, late game, and again, contributing in team fights that matter because of his ultimate, ang S plus class pa rin si Kennen dito. Siguro kung di na nerf si Aurelion Sol might easily be on the S plus. Pero naramdaman ni Aurelion Sol talaga yung nerf sa kanya. Still not really enough on some players dropping him being picked, no? Yung mga familiar Aurelion Sol players, pinipili pa rin si Aurelion Sol and still believe on the capacity of this champion. We're discussing the S dito, S class na. We also have the Akali plus the Orianna. Akali on the lane, especially in dueling, even with dealing with ranged champions, okay pa rin, no? Pagdating sa mid lane. Again, mid lane matchups, you can easily survive that. What matters is how mid lanes try to push each other tapos makasali doon sa mga early dragon fights or early skirmishes na nangyayari between the rivers or between the lanes. We have the A-class here in the form of the Ahri, Annie, Corki, Fizz, Gragas, Lux, Twisted Fate, and the Zed. So far, I think all of them are on equal footing, no? Hindi sila mahihinang pick. I just want to say that they are stable at nakadepende lang talaga sa galing ng player. Yan yung masasabi mo, no, na kailangan may galing pa rin ng player para ma-pull off yung mga ganitong picks. Hindi ka pwedeng basta pumili na lang ng Zed or Fizz na hindi ka familiar doon, no? I'm just thinking, what about Corki? Corki, obserbahan pa natin on the coming weeks, may have the chance of climbing up on the S ranks just because of the reliability of his kit, and I think players are still learning to play him because Corki is a new champion, no? Finally, on the B class ng mid lane, I think Evelynn already dropped. Baka pawala na nga yung Evelynn mid lane. Yun ang malaking katanungan. May iba pa rin nakaka-pull off ng game sa kanya. But overall, the nerf on the wave clear of Evelynn proves to be very heavy, especially on the key gameplay ng mid lane Evelynn na nakasanayan dati before pa man mag-patch 2.0a. You have the Ezreal, Seraphine, also Yasuo, and Teemo. Di ko alam kay Yasuo, feeling ko si Yasuo pwede pang pumunta sa may Igras pero so far, ang daming mas reliable na pick lang talaga para kay Yasuo sa mid lane. And Timo, malalaman natin, super erratic pa yung play rate and success ni Timo sa rank more. So, lots of Timo players are just picking Timo for fun. Finally, we have Tristana and Ziggs. Ziggs is just very difficult to play right now despite being a supposedly mid lane champion. No? Whereas Tristana naman dito, I'm talking about not AD Tristana but AP Tristana. Wala akong nakikita actually naglalaro ng AP Tristana. May nakita akong ibang nagtatry pero hindi talaga successful. Kaya ako lang siya nilagay pa rin sa mid lane is because meron siyang AP Tristana build, no? Sa suggested items niya. And that's where my curiosity lies. Ano kayang plano ni Riot dito sa AP Tristana to for the mid lane? But without doubt, even the AD Tristana is struggling, lalo pa ang AP Tristana in the mid lane. Now, for the duo laner, no, the ADC, we have Miss Fortune, we have Draven, Jhin, and also the Kai'Sa. No? Miss Fortune is the S+ on this pool. At alam nyo na to, nakilala nyo na, Miss Fortune, Jhin, tapos Kai'Sa. Si Draven yung umangat dito mainly because of the presence ng isang Lulu. Yun yung maganda dito, no? I think na-utilize na si Draven ng mga organized teams, no? Especially if you're on a 5-man stack on how you snowball the Draven. And Draven really, if nakarating sa late game, is just ang hirap. Very hard to deal with, no? Buti na lang nasa S tier pa yung mga tanky supports natin tulad nila Braum tsaka nila Alistar, no? And yeah, bantayan natin si Miss Fortune sa mga susunod na araw. Na-nerf na si Miss Fortune, not on the laning. Yun yung problema. Okay pa rin ang laning ni Miss Fortune. Ang hapdi pa rin ng double up niya. But the nerf on Miss Fortune falls on dueling. Mas mahina ng dueling ni Miss Fortune dito, especially on the nerf doon sa strat. Tapos, yung nerf dun sa upfront damage ng kanyang double up, no? And Kai'Sa has been there, no? Parang reliable pa rin. I think pwedeng umiklas si Kai'Sa dito, pero maybe because of the Lulu, because of the nerfs on Miss Fortune, and even on the Jhin, tumataas yung play rate para kay Kai'Sa dito. And you'll be seeing some successful games on her. And even ADC mains or high caliber players, been picking Kai'Sa din naman, no? Siyempre, on the A-class, you have Ashe, Corki, Ezreal, Varus, Vayne, and Jinx, no? I was thinking nga kung si Vayne okay pa sa A-class, pero I think nakadepende talaga sa player yan. Pwedeng si Vayne may pagka 50-50, rewarding sa isang player, hindi rewarding sa mga saktong player lang. Jinx may start to climb out on the S ranks, lalo pa because of the presence of the S+ support Lulu. And there's some talks about Varus also being strong, no? Pero ang gusto ko rin batayan ulit ay ang tulad ni Corki, one of the newest ADC in the pool, and I think he has a very safe kit. May chance na maging meta si Corki dito and maybe even rank up to the rise up to the ranks of S-class, no? And finally, the B-class, yung paborito kong ADC would be Twisted Fate. I think kailangan mo talaga ng super solid na expertise in pulling off an AD Twisted Fate and even the Tristana if you really want to spam her. Even with the Lulu, I think Tristana, there are better options than Tristana, no, pagdating sa ADC position. And I think kailangan i-buff si Tristana talaga overall. Now, for the support position, nabanggit ko na nga yung S+ rank, that would be of Lulu. We also have the Braum, Alistar, and Janna for the S-class, no? I think this comes to no surprise because napaka-reliable ng mga support na to. Depende na lang sa lane matchups nila and how you want to play out the team fights. Maybe Braum can even climb to the S+ ranks because of his presence. Napapansin ko lang sa mga competitive matches, sa mga scrims. Not to mention sa mga high tier na ranks, no? Pero Lulu talaga, without doubt, ang hirap lapitan lang ng ADC nyo, and Lulu like glues together a nice composition, especially on compositions na may malaking impact yung ADC. On the A-class, nakadepende na lang, you have the Blitzcrank, Gragas, Nami, Sona, and even Seraphine. Actually, pagdating sa support position, ano yan it's about wise place, diba? And again, sobrang okay pa rin yung Gragas. Ang hapdi pa rin ng poke and sustain and uptime niya to the point na pwede pa rin siya maglaro sa support and be a very visible threat, no, on that duo lane, especially with the setup ng explosive gas. Etong A-class ng support position, if you're playing this kind of supports, you're investing well on them. Walang ka problema. It's just that yung mga S and S+ are just really like full into the meta of support play. And finally, on the B class, I think kailangan pa ng nerf ni kailangan pa ng buff ni Soraka. Annie, Lux, and even Malphite requires some sort of expertise, no, para ma-pull off kasi meron silang downtime na madali abuse, especially pag na-burn yung mga spells nila, and even for Malphite na kapag wala yung ultimate sa kanya. And finally, the C-class, no, MF support. Di ko rin naintindihan bakit may naglalaro ng MF support. Nakita yun sa LoL PC, and that's kind of a meta na, a pick na tinanggap na. pero still MF support, very very difficult. Kung talagang ipipilit siya sa support, definitely nasa may C-class siya. So ayan guys, yan yung explanation ng ating champion tier list guys. And again, alam ko matagal yun ang hinihingi sa akin yung champion tier list para sa League of Legends Wild Rift, especially when you're asking me about the meta, especially kapag may mga bagong patch. Pero again, preparing this kind of champion tier list, hindi lang pag-iisip or theory crafting at pag-observe yung kailangan dito or kind of data collection, kailangan din ng assets preparation, kaya natagalan. Pero ngayon nagawa na natin siya, we can make it a regular thing. So I'll be releasing maybe a new champion tier list, depende sa pagdating ng patch next week kung may pagbabago man sa mga champions. And I might be releasing another champion tier list by February, observing kung ano nangyayari dun sa ship ng meta as we play along, no? So yeah, lots of cool stuff are still coming for Wild Rift, lalo pa yung mga wala pa, such as the spectator mode. So I hope you guys will be in tune kung ano man yung mga bagong darating, pulang itlog, darating para sa Wild Rift. Sana nag-enjoy at may natutunan kayo sa panonood ng video na to. Like if you like the video, subscribe to support the channel. Let me know in the comment sections ano pang mga Wild Rift videos ang gusto nyo makita mula dito sa ating channel. I'm Shibu with the 149, always saying na lahat kayong gamers, mabuhay.